I think one thing that often gets missed is it often gets broken down. So I would say that in DC, but just broadly, sort of the Western conversation, the media conversation on Myanmar, it's often humanitarian focused, or it's viewed as this, oh, it's another one of those long running civil wars that there'll be no end. I want to complicate that narrative quite a bit, actually. On one hand, I'll say this. This is a very unprecedented situation in Myanmar. This is totally different than the previous decades of conflict. The Bamar majority being on the side of the resistance is a big deal. The military has never been this weak. In the last 6 months, basically two of their military headquarters, in Northeast and Western commands, surrendered to resistance forces. That's never happened in 75, 80 years of conflict. That's a big deal. So this is a once in a generation opportunity, really. And two, I would say that there actually is a lot of American interest here. And I'll point to why I think it's of a strategic interest. Beyond the human rights, beyond the democracy aspect, there are strategic interests at play. Number one, I would say Myanmar is really important for China. China actually is paying a lot of attention here. Xi Jinping personally is paying attention to this. Beijing is paying attention to this. Why? As I said before, it links China to the Indian Ocean. That's big. Right now, if you look at a map, a lot of Chinese trade, a lot of their oil imports, something like 80% of their imported oil flows through the Malacca Strait, which is Indonesia and Malaysia, right? That could be blockaded in a conflict over Taiwan by the United States Navy fairly easily. They want to bypass that issue, so they've been building this infrastructure route through Myanmar. To them, this is a vital geostrategic interest. That's why they're paying so much attention. That's why they're backing the military so heavily now. If we are in this great power competition with China, I think we have an interest here in seeing this opposed, right? And I think right now the resistance is the actor that would oppose this. And the military junta is essentially a puppet of the Chinese. This is something that the U.S. should pay attention to. Beyond that, Myanmar is a big country. It's 50 million or so people. They have a real, sense that this is their opportunity to change their lives. And I think if we were a part of this, it would be beneficial for us, not least in ASEAN. As long as this continues, ASEAN is incredibly weakened. Again, that allows Chinese influence in Southeast Asia. And three, Myanmar, again, is a huge source of rare earth minerals. There's a lot of strategic resources in the country. And just ignoring it is not a viable solution. And I think relative to what it might, the expenditure here, I think we have a big opportunity to really shift the geostrategic playing board in Southeast Asia.